Yeah, hi, it's Tilde from the Ori Mill.
And it's Stephen from the Ori Mill.
Yeah.
Not Theory Mill.
Yeah, that...
I think I've said that before. The Ori Mill. Or just Ori Mill.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I was going to bring up our notes because we're not very good without our notes. It's been a long time, but we've got kit new cameras and struggling with the technicalities of recording.
Yeah, that was a
Quite
bit of a
tricky.
learning curve, wasn't it?
A big learning curve. Everything is a learning curve. Every day is a school day. So, we've got, hitting things. We've got new kit. It's been a long time, but we've been very busy.
Yeah.
You've been knitting lots.
I've been knitting a bit.
I've been knitting not so much
Mm-hmm.
because I've been getting annoyed at knitting. And let's talk about getting annoyed at knitting.
Yeah, it can be a bit frustrating when you're just learning to knit.
Yeah, it's massively frustrating trying to learn something at my age. But, interestingly, getting the results has been good.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about my new jumper.
Oh yeah, that was quite a good find, wasn't it?
So this is Jennifer Kent, a designer. I don't know if she's Glaswegian, but she's working in Glasgow. And apologies, Jennifer, if you actually are Glaswegian. And it's Shetland from Aberdeenshire wool. The wool's from Aberdeenshire. The wool's actually from a very old family, J.C. Rennie, and they've been family owned for over 200 years.
That's a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were about to buy this one in purple, weren't you?
I wanted it in purple, and you said go for pink, because I always
Yeah.
buy purple.
Yeah, I'm in a pink phase, I think.
Yeah.
Pink and green.
You're in a pink phase.
Yeah, pink and green.
So we'll come back to my jumper, because it's machine knitted, but let's talk about your hand knitting stuff.
Yeah, so I've been knitting the hook.
Yeah, you've posted this on Facebook a
Yeah.
few times, so let's see this.
It's the hook kind of jumper.
It's a hook jumper, and who designed it?
Martin Storey.
Look at this nice book.
Yeah, so, and you can see the pink and green. So,
Hold up. It's pink and green.
yeah.
And it's
pink
called
and
the Pirate Jumper.
green. Yeah, well,
Which
yeah.
is quite good. Now, this I'd like to do colour work, but this is quite hard. I noticed
Oh,
underneath it, it's what's happening here.
It's because it's intarsia.
Intarsia.
Yeah, you've been knitting.
Is that like some kind of condition?
Yeah.
I'm intarsia. What's wrong with him? He's intarsia. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, intarsia means what?
Intarsia is a way of doing colour work.
So what do you do with all that then?
I'll have to sew that in, so that's going to be great fun. No, I don't mind actually. I love the jumper, so it's and it was I was actually surprised it was fairly quick to knit.
You chose these different colours.
Yeah.
The pattern's got this kind of grey colour.
Yeah, so I think it was
Which is kind of cool too. That's kind of, I can imagine our goth teenager wearing that.
yeah.
Even our youngest
Well,
might wear it.
actually, they both wanted that one.
They both wanted it.
Yeah. But not in the
Well,
pink and
but
green.
not in the pink and green. Well, they're missing out.
Yeah.
What's it made out of? What?
So it's made from the brushed fleece.
Yeah, it's super soft.
Yeah, it's a really nice. It's very popular, especially after I've knitted a sample.
And it's merino and baby alpaca. Merino wool and baby alpaca, extra fine, very nice.
Yeah, it's a chunky weight, so you're knitting them on like 6mm needles, so it goes fairly quick.
Yeah.
So again, I think the back took me a couple of days to knit, which is just striped.
Okay, so when maybe need to see how you knit it up, the intarsia, how you tighten that up.
Intarsia can be a little bit tricky because
I think we should do a whole thing on that.
Yeah, each
at
block
some
of
point.
colour you have a single ball, so it can be a little bit time consuming. By the way, that jumper can actually just be knitted striped, which obviously makes it.
You don't have to do the pattern. You don't have to do the skull.
No.
My goodness.
But
How difficult would it be to make up your own image?
It's actually
Quite hard?
No, it's fairly. If you think it's just pixels, so you could basically take like.
Is there software?
Yeah.
Right, let's find the software and show that in this video.
So.
Not this video, but a video.
Yeah. So there's software.
So you could literally design your own jumper.
Yeah. You could actually take a photograph more or less. Do you have softwares where you can transform something into...
Softwares. You have software. It's
Okay.
software. And you get software to make it.
Yeah, so
I like it.
it's... You can use any of these kind of cross-stitch software where they...
Any of these kind of cross-stitch software just like that. I've never heard of this.
Have you not? So you can transfer a picture into, and then you'll just have to kind of
And
work
where might
it.
you find that? On Ravelry or something?
No, just Google it.
Just Google it. There you go. You heard it from Tilde herself. Just.
And you can then select whether you
I think we
want-
should find and recommend one and let's work it and learn it to use it. Learn how to use it.
Yeah. But you can take it like a star shape or anything kind of simple and just put it on it.
Okay,
Jumper?
we're kind of digressing. We didn't intend to talk about software, but
No.
we did. And you've been doing a blanket as well.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Before we do the blankets, this book's quite good
Yeah, there is
because
some...
it's all this fleece.
Yeah, brushed fleece.
So there's a nice
Yeah.
model wearing this green
You know,
fleece.
there's a couple of my customers who's knitting a lovely jumper in it.
Okay, well that's good. Easy fleece style. Okay, by Martin Storey.
Yeah.
I've heard of his name before. He's quite a long-term designer.
Yeah, he's quite... he's got some years on.
Quail Studio.
Quail Studio is actually another designer, so...
It's not Martin Storey.
no, they're kind of separate from Martin Storey, but yeah, he's
It's kind of
obviously
like a
working...
collab.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So,
Good. Right, okay, let's see your blanket. You've been knitting, so let's take that away.
Yeah.
This is quite a big deal, this blanket.
Well, that was again, it was really quick to make.
Wow, check it out.
And
This is not a Rowan, this is a West Yorkshire Spinners
Yeah.
ZUMA. How long did this take you?
It took me about 6 days.
Uh,
6 nights.
6 nights in a couple of
Yeah.
hours knitting, and
Yeah.
basically this is
For beginners. This
is
is
it?
like...
Why
yeah,
is it for beginners?
Because it's just garter stitch. So like your hat, you knitted in the beginning. It's really the same thing. It's in 10mm needles.
It's quite soft as well. What is
Yeah,
it?
it's like retreat. It's that yarn has become really popular.
I don't know if you can see that because of the lights.
Yeah, I think you can just about make it out now.
And this is blue-faced Kerry Hill.
Yeah,
That's a type of sheep.
yeah,
Is it?
yeah,
It's 100% blue-faced Kerry Hill.
yeah.
So I'm guessing this is British.
Yeah, that's a British one.
100% British wool.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing on this, and on the interesting. This is like drinking wine. If you want to become like a really experienced wine drinker, and sound like you know what you're talking about, then just read the label, and then you can.
Yeah.
It's all on the label. And the same with this. Just read the label. You can't see it. Sorry, apologies. It's too. But it does say super chunky roving. What does roving mean?
That's kind of unspun yarn. You can see this one hasn't got a twist in it, so it doesn't have a twist. You could maybe use the overhead camera to kind of show this better.
Well, oh, maybe not. Not right now.
No. So
Okay, let's go to overhead camera then. Fine. By the magic of television. Wow.
yeah.
So there's the label. Super chunky roving. How's it going to be?
No, you need to just have it. Yeah,
And
then you can see it better.
how many balls did that blanket take? Because it's quite big.
Yeah, it takes 8. It's actually not using the full 8 balls, so you have a little bit left over to do your cushion. So if you were to do the blanket and the cushion, you're only needing to add another colour or another ball in this pink colour.
But they've got the same thing again of this.
Yeah, so you do get some ends, and I actually deliberately left these
You've left
ends.
these ends out because this is not intarsia.
No, this
So
is
intarsia
just,
is mixing of within. How do you describe the intarsia?
Intarsia is kind of where you have like a motif in the middle of something. This one you can clearly see that stripes, and it's much easier
Oh, yeah,
to
you can't really. But hold on.
yeah, it's much easier to do for a beginner. You're only knitting with one colour at the one time.
Is this
So-
then the back?
This is the back, yes. So
But is there a back and a front?
yeah, so this is the front.
Why? Okay, but they kind of look the same. Do they not?
No, you can see these wee.
Oh, they're different, right?
you
Okay, it's
can,
different.
different
stitch,
stripes, yeah.
Different stripes. And you would just take these and start to sew these in.
Yeah, so here, for example, you can see how it looks. So when you have just knitted it, you will have them fairly loose. As soon as you start weaving them in, they become much tighter. And then at the end here, I've done some where I've actually completely kind of woven them in and cut the yarn. I'm also using a needle felting needle. So to kind of secure, so basically I'm kind of gluing the yarn together by felting it in, and it will not come apart.
Are you doing the stabby thing?
Yeah.
So you're stabbing it to felt it?
You can really see it here.
Yeah.
Kind of, that you can see the stab thing. And that also gives me, so only weave in a very short, only a couple of stitches. If you didn't do this, you had to weave it in much longer.
Yeah.
And it just became
so
a
it
bit
wouldn't
more...
unravel?
Yeah, this doesn't unravel.
Because it's felted?
Yeah. But if you
didn't want to felt it, you could weave it in a longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually using
But I mean, you're saying this is a beginner, but there's quite a lot of techniques here because there's more than one colour stripes. I mean, this looks like mixed.
This is because when you're knitting, so here you're knitting 2 rows. When you start the next row, it all on the back side, it automatically look like you're mixing them up.
Oh, but it's not really. You're just layering it.
You're just knitting.
Excuse me.
So there is no. This is the first step of kind of colour work you will do as a beginner.
So I'd like to go on to that.
Yeah.
Do colour work next.
Well, do some. Yeah, make some colours.
Okay, so that's interesting. Good. It's a very soft blanket as well.
Very warm.
Very warm.
Very warm.
That's so. I like this British wool as well. 100% British.
Yeah, you can actually see on the label it has that wee kind of British wool mark.
All right, good for them.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the main camera. Hello. So, what else have you been doing? You did something else.
Oh, I did a wee. Phone bag.
Okay.
With a wee tassel on. This is done in the
that's a crochet thing.
Yeah, so that's a crochet thing. Yeah.
And where's the
and
we've got the pattern for that?
Phone nicely.
Yeah.
So the pattern is free.
I do feel that a lot of this thing, this is kind of, you like it, it's great, but that's because dresses don't have pockets a lot of the time.
Yeah. So it's really
Why
practical.
don't dresses have pockets?
Because it just don't look good, and then if you have something in them.
I don't know. I think some
well,
dresses
this
do
one
look
actually.
good. I think dresses do look good with pockets.
Yeah, but if you then start putting all your phones and stuff in it, it's not really looking that great.
Okay, so this is a free pattern on the website.
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
Oh, that took me a couple of hours.
And are beginner or intermediate, or what do you think?
Well, I would say that beginner could certainly give it a go.
What is this yarn then?
So that is the bobbiny, the rope.
This is coming out of. This is slightly thinner than the normal bobbiny.
Yeah, it's a 3mm one. So the other one you've seen me use was the 5mm, and that's the one we've done the baskets in.
What I like about this is it's recycled.
Yeah.
So, made in Poland, 100% recycled cotton.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, and it's also really interesting because this is not dyed.
How not? Why would you it's not dyed?
It's not. It's actually taking.
How does it get to be that colour?
They shred the cotton. So they get cotton in all sorts of different colours, and then they shred the cotton up, and they put them in different piles of different colours, and then they actually take maybe 3 parts of one colour to one part of the other, and that mixes the colour up. So it's not they don't have a dyeing process when they make it up. So it's really interesting.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
and they get, because the bobbiny comes in lots of different colours.
Yeah.
All kind of pastel-y, quite nice colours.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. So crochet. Yeah. Have you got a video for the phone bag? No.
No, I got a video for the basket.
Okay, and similar techniques then.
Yeah, it's a double. So in the bag they're using something called a cross, like a cross double crochet stitch, or it's also a yarn under crochet double crochet stitch. So, but you can do it with the normal double crochet stitch. So you don't have to do these. You can see this almost like a 3 cross stitch type kind of pattern technique in it, but it's easy enough to do. You just, instead of winding your yarn over your hook, you take it under your hook.
So I'm going to say something sacrilegious. I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm really into crochet.
Well, you know that everyone is different. So some people are really into crochet, and other people are just, and then just not very much into knitting, and the other way around. So crochet is very popular right now.
No, I think it is, and I've noticed.
But I also think it's different from project to project. I really
Yeah.
like crochet for toys and bags and kind of household projects, whereas I prefer knitted garments. Have to say, I've seen some really fabulous crochet garments too.
So I think when something, okay, if you don't like something, you don't like it. But I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying that I'm not quite. I don't know. I'm not quite vibing with it or something. I think then we should maybe lean into that a wee bit, and you should show me some crochet projects. Not this, another video. Crochet projects, crochet garments, and how it's worth learning. Because you've often said to your class, if you're knitting, you should also learn to crochet, and vice versa.
So,
and if you crochet, you should learn to knit, because it just adds to your yarn crafting ability.
Yeah, and if you find that you like crochet and you can't seem to gel with the UK way of knitting,
right,
then it's worth actually going over to the continental way.
Always worth going to the continent. Somebody laughed at me for saying the continent, because I think they were younger than, well, I didn't think they were younger than me. But you don't say the continent for Europe anymore. And you have continental breakfast. But that's like an old-fashioned thing, apparently. Whereas I remember it was referred to, Europe was referred to a lot as the continent.
I think you're taking a detour.
Am I? Okay.
So
we did another thing. We went to Edinburgh, and we saw. I've been put it on Facebook. Well, it's not on Facebook yet. I've put it. It'll be on Facebook later this week. And we saw the. God, I have to get my notes up again. The Dovecot, which is a very nice place. Yeah. It's an old swimming baths, Victorian. I think it's Victorian swimming baths. Yeah. In the centre of Edinburgh.
And they have some. Actually, in the cafe, they had these lovely pictures of kind of water in a swimming pool, kind of abstract.
Yeah, it's a working tapestry studio.
Yeah.
And weaving studio. You can go in the swimming pool area are the weavers, and they're all kind of pretty impressive artists working on big pieces. And the members of the public can walk around the top of the viewing gallery.
Yeah.
And the viewing gallery is so big, they can also have art pieces there as well.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yeah, there were some fabulous paintings.
There was amazing paintings. It's really worth going to. And then in the other side of the building, there was the Chanel to Westwood knitting exhibition, which the Fashion and Textile Museum of London had arranged.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, me as a non-knitter but learning to knit, it was genuinely quite interesting.
There was a lot of machine knitted.
A lot of machine knitted stuff, you know.
But there was hand knitted stuff.
Yeah, the older stuff was it's about the development of wool. So you've got this twin sets, which originally were Pringle, but then they did Chanel ones, and they were very fine machine knitted. It's swimwear.
Oh yeah, there was a hand knitted. Did you notice there was a hand knitted bathing suit as well?
Yeah,
it was actually very well made and very well finished off.
Yeah.
And there was Fair Isles.
Yeah, there's loads of Fair Isle stuff, which is great. Yeah. I'd like to tackle that. I'd like to do a really colourful Fair Isle, something quite funky. I know you get these machine knitted ones for Christmas, and they're kind of done in acrylic. They're quite cheap, and they're machine knitted, and they've got Star Wars, or they've got other films, other kind of Avengers, but it looks like, from a distance, it looks like a Fair Isle Christmas jumper.
Yeah.
So that's a bit naff. But I suppose if you're young, you'd like that. But I would like to try and knit a Fair Isle, a real genuine Fair Isle. So really cool stuff. I quite liked Dee Gilpin, who's contemporary knitter. You can buy Dee Gilpin stuff. She has a studio in Skye, I believe. She may even do classes. I don't know. But Dee Gilpin's worked with amazing. I didn't realise worked with Nike and worked with lots of other big brands.
Yeah,
And
but
advise-
I like the colour.
Yeah, but our hand knitted stuff is still lovely. So there's something
Yeah.
it's kind of contemporary but traditional hand knitted. But then there was these kind of really contemporary pieces from Julian
kinda.
MacDonald and, what's his name? Cafe Facet, the 70s, 80s guy. He's still going.
Yeah.
So worth going to see. I think it goes till March, which is really cool.
Yeah, please go in and see it if you're about.
And then because we're in Edinburgh, we then went to Harvey Nichols because we just like that. We just go to Harvey Nichols, we drink cocktails. We never go out actually. We never go anywhere. That's why this is it's exciting to go to Harvey Nichols. And what was cool, and we'll put some pictures up, was you get some really expensive items that a good knitter could knit.
Yeah.
It
was there was particularly, what was it, the tracksuit?
There was a Chanel jumpsuit, which was amazing. One piece, but you could hand knit it if you were really good, and it was a couple of £1,000. Let's just say that again, £2,000. There was then, and I really liked the Alexander McQueen cardigan. She put a picture up of that, and it was. What's amazing about Alexander McQueen's thing was hand knitted, but it was, what price was it? £1,300. Now the thing with that is, that's incredibly expensive, and I can't afford that, but you can see why it's that price, because it's hand knitted.
It's also the designer obviously.
Designer obviously adds to it.
And the materials actually.
You've got the material here.
Yeah,
we think it was this.
It's this kind of fine. I don't know whether they want to do the overhead camera for us now.
Kidsilk Haze mohair. So
It's
it was
a
in
mohair.
mohair.
Yeah.
Which has got this funny haze on it, or what do you call it, the halo effect.
So, but it was actually chunky. So,
and you said they wove it, they wound it.
No, they actually just knitted a lot of strands together. So you can see one strand, if I try and take one out here to kind of show you, it's very, very fine. But if you take 8, 10 or even more, you
take more than one.
You knit with like a.
Yeah, it was more like that. It was a big chunky jumper. I mean, did you notice that I was holding it really close to see, because they had actually done this. They had actually used so many strands together to achieve a chunky. So it will still be really expensive to knit. It will cost you a couple of £100 to knit that one. Well, that's what I was going to say. So if you, let's say the cardigan, we'll put a picture up the cardigan.
Yeah.
A cardigan like that. I wanted to find a pattern on Ravelry. And it's not to belittle or undermine the Alexander McQueen, because I do. He's unfortunately dead now, but he has obviously, the brand is still going, and he was a really exciting fashion designer. And I don't dress fashion, but I do have a respect for fashion. But the fact is, you could knit it.
Yeah.
If you were good and you're a good pattern. And that's the kind of thing it's taking knitting and pushing it out your comfort zone. Yeah,
and I think that was actually why. So going there to the exhibition,
it was quite inspiring.
To have Nichols was actually why I chose the green and the pink for the.
Yeah, you just push, so that little influence just pushes you out your comfort zone a wee bit. And it was nice to see how relevant knitting is to fashion still, and is almost at the cutting edge, especially when you saw at the exhibition knitting with just different techniques and kind of almost space age weaving. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's really great when people kind of break the rules.
So we've been talking for ages. Why do we do this podcast? Because I'm trying to learn to knit. You're teaching me how to knit. Yeah. Hopefully in that, then you can watch this and learn to knit. But things kind of went wrong last time for me. I've been knitting this. This is Tilde's. It's Baltic. It's Pure Baltic. It's Pure Baltic is a Glaswegian term. West Coast of Scotland term for it. It's freezing. It's Pure Baltic Beanie. This is a complete beginner.
Absolutely. Yeah, that can be your first project.
This was my first project, and it's knitted in one long piece.
Yeah.
And then we sewed it up, and you can watch the previous video to see that.
Yeah.
We'll also separate this out at its own project and we're going to do this as a single beginner's kit.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a separate video without me and you talking rubbish, and just be like instructions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. How to knit it. It's really quick. Even I could do it. It was the very first thing I ever did.
And you quite enjoyed that one, didn't you?
I did quite enjoy it. And then I wanted to go to something more difficult. And because I felt so confident about knitting, which is quite interesting, so quickly, I thought, let's jump and do really fine knitting. So this was done in 10mm.
Yeah.
Super chunky.
This one.
Oh, this one, yeah. This red, super chunky, big wool. Rowan big wool.
Okay, I think there's a pink and green theme going on here.
Yeah, we got pink and green. I mean, we're showing Rowan, like, we're not, it doesn't have to be Rowan. It just, what kind of wool is this?
This is a big wool. This is actually a really, really good beginner yarn.
It is, because it's very forgiving.
Yeah, it kind of helps you get a really good tension. So that's
It's not super cheap though. We're throwing this about. I mean, it's what is this?
This is 100 grams, yeah.
100 grams of merino.
Yeah.
And that's a good quality wool. So this hat feels lovely. And it's very forgiving because my tension's terrible.
Yeah, so it kind of evens
Not
it
terrible,
out for you.
but it's just,
yeah,
it
but
wasn't-
that helps even it out.
Yeah,
though,
if you're
the
close
wool.
up, when you're close up, you can see mistakes. And that's a big thing about knitting, that you helped with the mistakes.
Yeah, that's.
Anyway, it's 100% wool, merino, and it's lovely.
But there is actually this argument that you're better off actually starting knitting in good quality wool with good quality needles, because you will then have that kind of touch, and you'll get a better result than if you're knitting in some cheaper stuff.
And I agree with that. It's a tricky thing to sell if you're trying to start knitting, and we're all in the cost of living crisis. Things are really hard financially, and it's a hard thing to sell. But I do agree that if you're serious about the project and you've got the cash.
Well, you only really need one ball.
One ball. I would go as best as you can afford.
Go for one ball and some nice needles. You could there are some nice needles out there that's not costing a fortune.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it was I used. Anyway, we're talking about we've done a video on this. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I wanted to go super fine. So that was 10mm.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go. Let's do a much nicer. And this again, Rowan. We're a bit of a Rowan people here. And so what was this again?
Yeah, that was the Pebble Island. That's a traceable one.
Yeah, this is a big deal. This is what I like about this. This is sustainable and traceable. Traceable meaning that we can go directly to the
It is
flock.
one farm.
One farm on the Falkland Islands.
Yeah, on Pebble Island.
Which is in the Falklands.
Yeah.
And it's really, and again, it feels lovely.
It is a really, really nice
And it's a
yarn.
really nice yarn.
It is quite expensive, that one there.
And we're knitting this fine. What size are these needles?
So those ones are 4.5, I think.
So I just found this really
you're
tough.
Yeah, you're actually turning the wrong way around.
Oops.
Now. There you go.
I found this tough. I'm not even going to attempt to knit here because there's tension, there's tight here. So trying to pull that apart. And you're then going in to do a stitch.
Yeah, and actually you got your yarn twisted round.
Okay, so you untwist it for me. Again, the advantage of being taught to knit by a knitter. I'm saying this and I'm belittling again the videos. I think you should be just, knitting with someone is quite therapeutic.
There you go.
As
So you have your...
Right, so I found this really hard. There's a lot of tension here. And then I'm going to do a stitch. Am I ready to do a...
Yeah, it's 2 knit you're doing there.
Doing 2 knit. So I'm bringing this through. That's quite easy. I'm getting better at that simple knit stitch.
Yeah.
So that's not that hard. But when it came to doing the purl, because we wanted to do a different type of hat, a ribbed hat in the round, and I wanted to do this finer knit, and it just got really tricky.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't do this right now.
Yeah, I think it was also you were struggling to actually see.
I was struggling to see. I can see I wear glasses and they're bifocals, and when I do that and I'm looking down, and I was finding it hard to see what I was doing, and I think the problem is I don't know the purl stitch well enough to get it into my hands.
Yeah, it's quite a. I remember as a kid as well. I didn't enjoy the purl stitch. There were so many things that could kind of go wrong. This is the tricky bit about the continental way of knitting.
Yeah.
The purl stitch. But when you get it, it's so much quicker to switch between the knit and the purl stitch because you don't actually move your yarn back and
it got easier. So what we did was, after I threw the knitting across the room in a fit of rage, and a peak of rage, then we decided to go. We had some big wool lying about, and our favourite, the big wool, and we decided to do it in the 10 mil. And you spent some time teaching me the knit and purl, and you get this really nice ribbed effect. And again, very forgiving in this lovely merino. It's very soft and very warm. And we're nearly finished with this one.
Yeah, you're just about to.
So this is basically 2 knit, 2 purl.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? And the round. And the round being these shorter needles.
Yeah, you have to, if you're knitting a hat, you have to have some special needles that's 40 centimetres long.
Why?
Because, well, you could use longer ones and do something called the magic loop. But it's just easier to have the 40 centimetre. They're quite good for hats.
Right.
At the top of a hat, you would generally go down to and use some double pointed needles, but because we're only reducing a few stitches, it didn't really matter in this case.
So I really enjoyed this. There's some mistakes, which you make here. You can see some mistakes, and I think that's another thing. If you're learning to knit, is just really leaning into the patience of it, because the value comes from getting that rhythm happening. And if it wasn't for you being there, I would have had to have pulled it all apart. And I spoke to a friend in work, and they said that they were on their own. Well, no, they weren't completely on their own in lockdown, but they didn't have anyone showing them how to knit, and they learned how to knit online, and often had to pull apart their knitting.
That's what happens. So when the students I have in my classes, I just go over and help them, even if they'd made a mistake, like let's say down much further down, I can ladder this one down and knit it back up again for them.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to take the whole thing out.
So and bearing all that in mind, the complex it wasn't difficult. It was really straightforward to do this.
Yeah.
We've made a separate video. Yeah. So we've got 2 videos coming up with this one, and then we've got your instructional video, less talking, more knitting. Yeah. And it's all in sections, and you'll be able to jump to each section, and you've made the same hat in the same chunky wool. I mean, that's really nice and tight, but with a nice spring to it. Yeah. And you can see how much better you are.
Well, how long have you been knitting for?
Like, elapsed of 2 months, but in actual, the time I spent knitting is like 6 hours or something.
Yeah, so I've knitted for over
all
40 years.
Yes, because you're old.
Yes.
Old lady knitting. You're not that old.
No.
You're a bit old.
But I did learn to knit when I was about 4.
You're older than me.
Ha ha.
Oh, wow. I'm a toy boy.
Yeah. How many years?
2.
A year and a half or something?
No, it's not. It's 2 years. What age are you? No, never mind. So, link to the video, how to make this. It doesn't actually take long. This took me a few hours and I was slow, and I had to unravel a few things, and I had to get some help. But actually, once I got in it, it's funny because as you get to all the mistakes are at the bottom, and as I got to the top, I get better and better. So I'm probably going to do this again myself, and I'll follow Tilde's video, and the next thing I want to do now is stripe, which is what we were talking about before.
Well, what you could actually do is you could make the bit up here a different colour, and then just change colour, and so you had a different colour brim. Yeah.
And the other thing we need to do is, well, it's in the video where you sewed it up. Yeah. This is the what do you call it? The needle you used?
Some people call it a darning needle, or you can call it a wool needle.
Okay.
So we got actually a very nice suit.
So what's quite nice about this is we're kind of building up a package of, you've got your complete beginner hat, the Baltic beanie, and then you've got a beginner hat, which is good ways to knit, because this is just a knit stitch, this is knit and purl. You're coming in, this is done, doesn't have to be done, this can be done straight needles.
Yeah, that's the if I like to get people over to circular needles sooner rather than later, just to get familiar with them, because there's so many lovely modern patterns where you're doing like a top down jumper, so you're basically starting at the neck, so you're going in the round, and it's just, again, you don't have to sew up if you do it from the top down.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure I follow you, but we'll talk about that more.
Yeah, well, the thing I hear constantly from people is like, oh yeah, the knitting is not a problem, but it's my sewing up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the sewing up looks a little bit tricky. I've not attempted that yet. And the finishing. So let's talk about that next time. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we're going to post loads more videos with our fantastic camera we've got. And we want to post more courses, because I want to learn how to knit and hopefully teach people how to knit as well. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.